HIV and AIDS. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics. What are HIV and AIDS? Then we'll get into how the virus actually spreads. After that, we'll cover 7 signs of late-stage HIV, talk about some really powerful ways you can prevent it, and finally, wrap up with what it means to live a healthy life with HIV today. This is probably the #1 question people have, and it is the perfect place for us to start. Getting the difference between these two locks down is just fundamental to understanding everything else. Okay, let's jump into our first section. We're going to break down these two terms that you hear all the time. Now, they're definitely related, but, and this is key, they are not the same thing at all. First up, HIV. It stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. So right there in the name, you know it's a virus. But what does it do? Well, think of your immune system like an army. The CD4 cells, those are the generals. HIV is a really smart invader. It specifically targets and takes out those generals, which, as you can imagine, seriously weakens your body's entire defense system. And then you have AIDS, which is Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. The big thing to get here is that AIDS isn't a virus. It's a condition. It's a diagnosis you get when the HIV virus has been around long enough to cause severe damage to the immune system. Basically, it's the most advanced stage of an HIV infection. So, here's the bottom line. A person has the HIV virus. If that virus isn't treated, it can, over time, progress and lead to the condition we call AIDS. It's all about progression. One leads to the other if left unchecked. Okay, so now we've got a handle on what HIV is. The next obvious question is, how does it spread? And understanding this is absolutely crucial, not just for prevention, but for getting rid of a lot of harmful myths out there. It's really, really important to be clear on this. The virus can only be passed through certain bodily fluids from someone with a detectable amount of HIV. We're mainly talking about unprotected sex, sharing needles for things like drugs or tattoos, or from a mother to her baby. And just as important is what it's not spread through. You can't get HIV from hugging, sharing a glass, saliva, or a toilet seat, period. So we know what the virus is and how it spreads. But what happens if an HIV infection goes untreated and starts to progress? That's what we're looking at next. We're going to talk about the signs that the immune system is really struggling, which is what leads to that condition we call AIDS. We're going to walk through 7 key signs that tell us the immune system is having a really tough time fighting off germs and infections that a healthy body would normally handle no problem. The first big one is rapid, unexplained weight loss. And I'm not talking about losing 5 pounds. This is a condition sometimes called wasting syndrome. We're talking about losing at least 10% of your body weight without trying. And it often comes with other issues like chronic diarrhea or a fever that just won't go away. Next up is a fever that keeps coming back, or waking up completely drenched in sweat at night, even if the room isn't hot. So why does this happen? Well, it's a sign that your body is constantly in overdrive, trying and failing to fight off all sorts of infections because its main defenses are down. This isn't just your normal end-of-the-week fatigue. This is a deep, profound exhaustion that sleep just doesn't fix. It can be so draining that even simple, everyday things feel like climbing a mountain. It's because the body is pouring all of its energy into a battle it just can't win on its own. You know your lymph glands, right? Those little nodes in your neck, armpits, or groin. They're like the command centers for your immune system. Well, when they stay swollen for a long time, like more than 3 months, that's a major red flag. It means your body is stuck on high alert, and it's just exhausting its resources. When the immune system is weak, the body's ability to heal itself really takes a hit. This can show up as sores or lesions in the mouth, on the genitals, or around the anus that just don't go away. They can be painful and are really slow to heal, which also opens the door for other infections. So this is where you start hearing about opportunistic infections. These are illnesses caused by germs that a healthy immune system would just swat away like a fly. A classic and very serious example is a specific kind of pneumonia, a fungal lung infection that is extremely rare in healthy people but can be incredibly dangerous for someone with AIDS. And finally, in later stages, HIV can actually cross into the brain and affect the central nervous system. This can show up in a lot of different ways, things like memory loss, confusion, depression, or even trouble with balance and movement. It's a really serious sign of how widespread the virus's impact can be. I know hearing those signs can be pretty heavy, but that brings us to what is maybe the most empowering part of this whole explainer: prevention. The good news is there are absolutely concrete, super effective ways to protect yourself and everyone else from HIV. Think of this as your multi-layered defense plan. It starts with the basics, right? Using condoms correctly every single time. It also includes personal choices, like limiting your sexual partners, and, this is a big one, never ever sharing needles. Then you have the power of knowing your status by getting tested regularly. And on top of all that, there's modern medicine like PrEP, which is a daily pill that can seriously slash the risk of infection. And we're going to end on the most hopeful note possible. Getting an HIV diagnosis today is nothing like it was decades ago. Thanks to some truly incredible science, HIV is now a manageable chronic condition. So what do you do if you test positive? The absolute game changer today is treatment. It's called antiretroviral therapy, or ART. It's a combination of medicines that stops the virus from making copies of itself. And get this, when you take it consistently, ART can lower the amount of HIV in your blood so much that it becomes undetectable. And that means a person can live a long, healthy life, and, this is huge, they cannot sexually transmit the virus to a partner. It's a revolutionary concept. Undetectable equals untransmittable. So that's what we want to leave you with. We have the science, we have the tools to prevent and treat HIV. The next great challenge isn't medical, it's social. It's about taking clear, factual information just like this and using it to replace fear with understanding. That is how we finally end the stigma for good. Thanks so much for joining me.